The Hani people of Yunnan have strived to make a home in the mountains, battling the elements to create a high-altitude community and the world's most beautiful terraced rice fields. Mountains rise up from the ground and tower over our cities and towns. They cradle us in their majestic arms like a mother comforting her child. But the beauty of the mountains masks an unimaginable environment. The biting cold and uneven terrain have forever been a deterrent for most societies. But even then, groups of people around the world have braved these difficulties. The province of Yunnan is located in the southwest corner of China, bordering the countries of Myanmar, Laos, and Vietnam. Yunnan is considered to be the kingdom of mountains. Of the 394,000 square kilometers of Yunnan province, 94% is mountainous, where mountain ranges go from north to south, all the way to Southeast Asia. In the Ailau Mountains, the Hani tribe has created an agricultural community by designing amazing terraces for crop cultivation. It is a remarkable system of coexistence between man and mountain. The mountains here have reared the people of Yunnan, and the people of Yunnan endow the spirit and life of the mountains. Li Sichong, a Hani himself, is immensely proud of his heritage and has dedicated his career to researching and writing about Hani culture for the rest of the world to read. He explains the history of his people and how they ended up in this vast mountainous region.
公元前3世纪，就是在居住在长江黄河的上游，然后呢，由于发生自然灾害、森林起火，就被迫离开原来居住的地方，向南迁徙。哈尼族在迁徙的过程当中，不断的经历了好几个地方，这最后是被迫离开家乡。是为了避免跟其他民族发生战争，所以呢，他就逃难到这个深山老林里面，最后来到这个红河和澜沧江中间地带，在这个哀牢山区，开垦梯田。
Over the course of 54 generations, they then proceeded to develop the slopes of the mountains into carefully crafted terraces for rice and crop cultivation. A terrace is a piece of sloped plain that has been cut into a series of successively receding flat platforms which resemble steps for the purpose of more effective farming. Terraced fields both decrease erosion and surface runoff and may be used to support the growing of crops like rice, which require irrigation. This practical solution to the area's sloping gradient belies the outstanding skill and craft needed to sculpt the land. Like artists, the Hani have literally carved the land into terraces that are, in one word, remarkable. This form of agriculture is even more effective than what the Hani believe is a four-dimensional living space.
它这个上面山底上是有森林，然后中间森林下面是村庄，村庄下面就是梯田，然后梯田下面就是河流，所以呢，这个哈尼族生活的这种情况就形成了一种四度同个的一种形态，一种生态系统。
Nearly half of the world depends on rice for survival. 95% of the crop's cultivation and consumption is in Asia. That importance is apparent in the Hani culture and to their rice farmers. The Hani cultivate an ancient variety of rice called red rice, named after its distinctive hue. The red grain is completely organic and is considered to be more full in flavor with a high nutritional value. It's the season for preparing the rice fields. 60-year-old Duan Chai Sha and wife Li Ga-shou are farmers plying their trade in the Guidong village in Honghe County. Today, this farming couple will be harrowing the land to get it ready for planting. They use the primitive system of a water buffalo and a wooden harrow. They tend to a land that has been passed down from generation to generation, sustaining a family history through the practice of farming.
냠셔지로 샤치 지소지지수 냠셔지 마치야노 그래서 제가 마무라 냠셔지 치야면 최디무제 최디두제 지르사만 최디마두라 무디 마무라 그리고 냠셔지로 샤치소 냠셔지 샤마치에 되면 나서 우크모나서 샤치자로 아모로 최디마무라 두디마두라 자리니야마자 냠셔지 치야소냐데 마자키 마무라키 그 앞이야 보네 정도가 개드가 해서 냠로 앞이야 보면 저로 요아 마치자로 막학해서 이 샤무로 샤마치로 호마자기 기도 호마자마저 적어서 이 치자서
오도 주자모서 샬로 레아카시 샤마디 계서 나 총어야 돼 가디서슈 할담로 하디 우도 주소 속에서 우크가체 샤무 싱오베야.
The design of the terracing is remarkable, but another finely tuned system exists to enable irrigation. The Hani have created an irrigation system for their terraces that incorporates every natural element in their surroundings. As the majority of the water source is derived from the mountaintop forests, the Hani have built a network of ridges and embankments that catch the precipitation from the forests and channel it towards the terraced fields. Along the way, these irrigation channels are also diverted to other farming land, such as pig pens, so as to carry the natural fertilizers that aid the growth of the crops. It's a system that requires no chemical fertilization. This system of irrigation is a fundamental aspect of terracing, and it's essential that the Hani always maintain the embankments to ensure that there is a constant supply of water.
너는 샤비바사레고만은 아케마길리 미고만은 바사소 마카 자디마자키 체디수사 체포디 볼라키 아케드르모 체디마포 샤티자이리와 하마고 요아바디 치무제 이거 샤바 권리로 아케 아게 샤자마비자가 뜨거 트도와 뭐 샤티도와 뭐 안유카도와 뭐 힘이 샤바로 힘이 권리자 소수 힘망으로.
The supply of water has led the Hani to use it for more than just irrigation. Hani families breed fish in small ponds built along creeks and streams before being transported to the rice fields to produce fish fry. These fish not only provide farmers with an important source of protein, but also help to control insects and weeds and to enrich the soil.
鱼的产生的粪便，以反过来又作用于这个我们稻谷的生长，所以它是一个很好的一个生物循环系统。
마사니로 아케차에서 체디 소부대 아우들라로 티에네 아우 티모티모 통테 아케마차로 마사마이키 아케버차 데서 미니에서 마사로 어떤 예티만이요.
The harvest season for rice only occurs during October, so Duan Chai Sha and Li Ga-shou have to cultivate huge amounts of rice that can last them up to a year. The rice then has to be properly stored to deter any molding.
지와시트 포타 시티가 아직 예탐에 피우라 되거나 치우는 아카푸 알아내 아차푸 체추출라키 마차푸바노 내 차푸사 뭐나 칠입에 도도서 와서 소와서 내가 딸애가 도트우사 후차마 비자메 아비 내 하우자모로 뭐 두어서 기도 제법 비포라서 가노 테로 기치마야서로 할루체기가 아케 받아서 아콘 정선미 기자 제 미추된 통 제냠로 티굴 무대라 계속 하물어 고전에 지치 속하이 계속 냠로 지치야 계속 하물어 마딘 걸로 호변을 흘말름 해야지 요요로 호바 티모티모야 이야기 계속 집안에 말하면 기자들.
Behind the beauty of the fields and the intricate systems of the Hani's agricultural practices, it is a simple fact that rice is the lifeline of the people. Their entire ecosystem is built around it to ensure this, and their existence depends on it. Despite the abundance of the terraced fields, not all of the land is suitable for rice cultivation. Recently, the Hani have resorted to planting sugarcane, a perennial grass that requires less water. Li Zhongcheng is a Hani farmer. A lack of rainfall has prompted him to utilize his land to grow sugarcane. By planting and cultivating this grass, he has harnessed the ecosystem even further.
个多下的没头了，没了，现在就是在当下哈啥，他说了，咱个年度活了，肯定得要还得跑去看的，可能是那么了，气候那个后边呀，当下哈啥可能了，全部了没了吧？还得我们特别搞生的，我们跑去没了，提不明白话题吧，么啦，明白话题那个，咱个下巴了还得么了听不考了嘛，还得阿偏嘛也可能了，我的社会人员，我的经济人员就是说的。
Sugarcane is typically harvested from November to December. It's around this time that sugar factories sound out the farmers to bring their harvest.
这个时候让新那个呢，一顿饭让么让还得500，我让他们让10顿个么那还得为什么钱了嘛？ Li
Zhongcheng's son, Li Chengwei, is also part of the family's work. Chengwei is in charge of coordinating the transport of the harvest. He chops the sugarcane and ties it into bunches of 12 before delivering it to the sugar factory.
拔起来以后，要么搞到锅炉上，抬不起来，可能要么搞到锅炉上面，然后把它。 全部烤完了就装在车上，然后拉到糖厂里面。就是说，我们这边山里面就是路皮皮，全是山坡坡的，就是又车也进不来，然后锅路有点远了，锅路上全部搞上去了，然后炸2周过来。
Once the Hani's field work is over, the remarkable process of making sugar takes place in the Honghe County Sugar Factory. High up in the Ailau Mountains of China's Yunnan province, the Honghe County is home to the incredible Hani people. Apart from cultivating rice, the Hani have now resorted to planting sugarcane to supplement their income. The farmers harvest sugarcane and transport it to a sugar factory in the province. The Honghe Sugar Limited Company is situated at about 500 meters above sea level in the Yunnan Mountains and is approximately 40 kilometers away from the majority of the Hani villages. Sun Yun has been working in this sugar factory for 17 years and is now the director of production. He explains the sugar-making process in the facility and how the factory's presence has been a boon for the Hani living in the mountains.
这个刚制从这个制期扛运过来以后，正厂的第一步就是称重，称重以后， 它经过评定等级以后，是说之后我们的定的价格嘛啊，智农可以拿1吨多少钱。
Because sugarcane spoils relatively quickly, it has to be processed within 24 hours of being delivered from the farms. Longer than that, and sugar production will be reduced. In the factory, the cane is washed and cleaned, after which it is milled to extract an opaque sugar-filled juice. Chemicals are then added to calibrate the pH value of the extract, which is essential in determining the safe consumption levels of the sugar.
调节 pH 是经过这个澄清工序，把质子再一步悬度清净工序嘛啊，它主要是把里面的杂质都往外面提出去以后，再进入这个蒸发浓缩，把糖汁提到一定垂度以后，又用泵嘛送到这个煮糖这里。
Once dried and packaged, the sugar is exported all over China.
从这个有了这个工厂以后啊，可能他们年均收入可能大概吧，如果说你有100亩地的话，可能是每年的经济效率，以4吨的来比的话，就是说100吨的话就是400吨，400吨你扣了这些该付出的运费啊、扛运费啊这些，可能就是有10来万的收入。 现在就是有这个工厂以后啊，他们的生活条件是比以往嘛，往上上升了好多。
Honey culture has developed in a closed environment. This isolation has not only forced the Hani to resort to their innovative agricultural practices, but to also embrace their rich and varied heritage in a cloistered world. This heritage is a fundamental part of these mountain communities. In the month of October, the Hani celebrate the Young Matu festival, which honors their heroes and prays for the union of the Hani people and good harvests. Part of the festival is a banquet where all the villagers congregate at noon to enjoy a feast of many dishes prepared by various households. Tables are linked together to form a banquet line. The accompanied singing and dancing goes on till sunset. Traditional dancers perform a traditional silver pheasant dance. It is a fitting tribute to folk legends, as well as the Hani's farming roots.
白血鸟是哈尼族的神鸟，它就是传说，就是每当要播种的季节的话呢，这哈尼族就是那个白血鸟就是它会叫的话，就哈尼族就知道了这个季节就必须要去播种了，所以是它是传说中的一种神鸟。
44-year-old Yang Hubing is a traditional Hani dancer who's been dancing for more than half her life. Lerjiu dance is a social dance that is inspired by the Hani life. In the Hani language, Lerjiu means dance together. Naturally, the various dances are accompanied by music. The sanxian is a 3-string lute that offers the Hani a respite from the back-breaking work up in the mountains. Li Jiuxia has been playing the sanxian since he was a teenager and continues to play it so that this tradition will not fade away.
요비마비키 귤르데아 광어 에메망을로 라커버그 마사 요티 마살로마 알 마굴라키 제 할루가 티모코 아차 그 에메응바노 알 나하사 알 버치사 그가 나 디디비서 시모버둘라바노 나미 비사시고 자고 차갈로.
In the past, men would use their skills as Sanxian players to woo women from the villages.
자고요로 하면은 티포 가르다 티포데 라흐바소 심사가 자고요로 띠리 캐시죠 냠로 심에 손목 몰라서 나게 마치고 망을로 냠가로 자고요들 마치서 냠가로 치루치야 쉐디로 자고요로 나도 줄로 뭐봐.
Another tradition that has been carried forth is the Hani's distinctive embroidery. Hani dresses and ornaments signify their agricultural life and work on the terraced fields. Embroidery on the clothes symbolizes the terraced fields, and designs of crabs and fish are symbols of the Hani's adoration of water. The Hani's deep entrenched bond with their agricultural roots is showcased effortlessly in the terraced fields. But this bond is also expressed in their culture. The art and culture of the Hani show how intimately linked they are with the landscape. With dances and music, they all pay tribute to the mountains and the Hani's agricultural tradition.
앞에 보네 정드가 개드가 계속 냠로 앞에 보면 저로 요아 마치자로 막학해서 니 샤무로 샤마치로 호마자 기계서 호마자 마저 정거서 이미 치자서스.
한턱 하고야 몸자유가 하디 몸자가 뭐야 하디 한초 하디 뭐가 세호물라 요 올로로 되디.
The Hani are a fitting example of how mankind can inhabit even the most extreme of lands. Driven away from their ancestral lands to the biting cold and danger of the mountains, the Hani have forged an everlasting bond with these mountains to prosper and preserve their heritage. High up in the Himalayas, the Sherpas have created a legacy by living in the high altitudes and sub-zero temperatures of the mountains. Mountains are the backbone of this earth, covering 1/5 of the world's surface and found in over 75% of the world's countries. These behemoth landscapes loom over civilizations like titans. The mountainous nation of Nepal sits within the Himalayas, a mountain range with the planet's highest peaks. This country, dubbed the roof of the world, was born out of the mystical allure of the peaks that encircle it, and is now home to a legendary ethnic group known as the Sherpas. The Sherpas are a nomadic tribe with roots in Tibetan culture. Against all odds, these ancient alpine pastoralists and traders have carved out a life in a land where survival itself is a day-to-day struggle, coexisting with an environment that brings harsh weather and few resources. 63-year-old Basang Sherpa is a well-respected Sherpa in his community. A dedicated researcher and cultural expert, Basang Sherpa has been organizing treks and tours into his homeland for over 40 years.
Sherpa people coming from eastern region. So Sherpa means they are coming from east. The first, we are originally from Tibet. We are Mongolian. So the who live in the eastern side, they say Sherpas. But we are originally from the Tibet.
In the Tibetan language, Sherpa is translated as people who live in the east. And over time, it has become the descriptive term used for this ethnic group that has long since made a home in the northeastern parts of Nepal. Many have speculated and theorized about the migration of the Sherpas into the high valleys of Nepal, but their Tibetan origins are clear in their language, culture, and religion. Sitting high, 1,800 meters above sea level, Lambagar village of the Dholaka district in the northeast part of Nepal is home to a small group of Sherpas. Lambagar is a typical Sherpa village where agriculture is the backbone of the community. The people here survive by farming, a practice that has been modified to accommodate the region's high altitude and drastic weather. Lakpa Sherpa is a 52-year-old farmer who lives here with his wife Lopsang and their young son. Harsh weather and dire living conditions, together with the difficulties of obtaining supplies, make farming in this region a demanding task. Lakpa grows basic crops like potatoes, tomatoes and cabbage. But it's a tough life with the cold weather bringing more than its fair share of challenges. Despite the hardship, Lakpa will always choose his beloved mountains over the chaos and stress of a life in the city.
हाम्रो उब्जनी भनेको जेले हामी आलु वर्षैपछि हामी आलु रोप्छौं तर अहिले चाहिँ हिउँदो महिना भएको हामीले आलु नहुँदाखेरि आलु यो बारीहरुमा सब्जीहरु बन्दाकोपी भयो फूलकोपी अनि यो गाजरहरु.
Growing seasons up in the mountains are extremely short, and farmers often risk falling ill whilst out on the steep slopes due to the cold climate. Despite these challenges, Sherpas have preserved and resorted to a system of crop rotation that has helped them to cope with their drastic surroundings.
यो बन्दा लगाएको हो यो बन्दा लगाए यसपालि त्यति राम्रो भएन त्यही पनि अहिले यस्तै गरेर लगाएको छ पहिले त धेरै ठुलठुलो हुन्थ्यो अहिले अलि यसपालि अलि राम्रो भएन सानो मात्रै भयो अनि इनारो अब यो चाहिँ छबी भन्ने हो अनि सागहरु यसरी अहिले अब यो अफ सिजन फेरि अर्को सिजनमा मात्रै हामीले रोप्ने गर्छ अहिले चाहिँ यो अफ सिजन भयो.
Lakpa will also sell his crops for additional income. Due to his small land size, he will harvest only when there is a demand for his crop.
हामी चाहिँ अहिलेसम्म चाहिँ अब यो म चाहिँ अब खेती किसान गर्छु उपचार अब बजारतिर बेच्ने कोही यही किन्न आउँछ त्यसहरु चाहिँ त्यसो पैसा र अनि मेरो श्रीमतीले तान बुन्छ लम्बर अथवा किटिल भन्ने बुन्छ उनीहरुले त्यो बुनेपछि मैले.
For years, the icy winds and weather have forced the Sherpas to weave fabrics to keep them warm. But generations on, that practicality has led to an established trade in carpets. As Lakpa toils in the fields, his wife, Lopsang, helps by indulging in the art of weaving traditional carpets, which are known as Sherpa rugs or Tibetan Nepalese rugs. Lopsang has made a living from weaving for the past 30 years, a tribute to the people's enterprise in coexisting with these bone-chilling lands. Compared to Persian and Turkish rugs, Sherpa rugs are much softer, thicker and flexible. They are a product of the environment, keeping the Sherpas warm in the cold of the mountains. More than just a source of income, their warmth and comfort make them a common household item in Sherpa communities. The Sherpas' traditional practices extend to more than just their livelihood. The isolation in the mountains has even helped to preserve their ancestral clothing. Female Sherpas are called Sherpinis, and they wear traditional attire known as Angi Pangnin. The clothes bear a striking resemblance to those worn by Tibetan women, except that the Angi Pangnin has the practical purpose of keeping the women warm. Pema Youngjum Sherpa is a village elder who still actively practices the customs of her people. She has lived in this Sherpa village with her husband, Sanji Sherpa, for 30 years.
Xiaba yo nabai hundena. Yo nalai hundena. Yo nalai hundena. Ani हाम्रो यो नाबाई पछि अब बिहे गरेपछि सबै लाउनु पर्छ. सुरुवाल सबै आङदुङ पनि बाक्लै लाउँछ. अनि बर्खामा त हामी त्यस्तै हो. कुर्ता सुरुवालहरु त हामी लगाएको छैन. त्यो पेटिकोटहरु त्यतै लगाएको छ.
The angi is a sleeveless blouse worn over a top that is called a ratuk. A special feature of the women's dress is the multicolored striped aprons worn to cover the front and back of the body below the waist. Only married women wear the front apron. The attire is made with a mix of homespun wool and raw silk to keep the women warm and comfortable. And the entire ensemble is held together by the kaitig, a silver embossed belt passed down through generations, representing a woman's heritage.
बोकुलाई पछि आफ्नो शोभा पनि हुन्छ. मान्छे नराम्रो भयो भने राम्रो देख्छ. अनि यो बोको यो सबै चटकै पारे पनि ओहो आज यो मान्छे त चटकै पारेछ. कहाँ जाने हो भन्छ. कहाँ जान्छ आफ्नो.
The older generations drink sucha, a Tibetan Sherpa tea, which keeps them warm in their elevated surroundings because of the calorie-heavy butter that they use. The tea uniquely tastes salty instead of sweet. This is due to the non-iodized salt that is a major ingredient in the tea.
सुजामा भोटे चा अनि भोटे नुन चाहिन्छ. अनि सुजा थोरै ठेका राख्ने. राखेपछि अनि त्यहाँबाट रङ निस्किन्छ हैन. पातलो खान्छ. अनि 2-3 उम्लेपछि अनि
For the highest quality tea, tea leaves are boiled until a dark brown hue is evident. The liquid is then poured into a dongmo, a traditional churn. A sizable lump of yak butter and salt are then added to the mixture before it is strenuously churned over and over again for 15 minutes until a proper consistency is attained. Remarkably, the tea is also used as a form of chapstick for the Sherpas, with the butter helping to prevent chapped lips.
अब यो बढी राख्ने र थोरै राख्ने आफ्नो बाक्लो खानेले खान्छ. कम्ती खानेले कम्ती नै राख्छ. त्यो टिप्टनहरुले भन्छ 100 वटा पार्नु पर्छ भन्छ. 100 वटा पार्दा त हाम्रो त चाहिँ सेलाउँछ. अब 20-30 वटा त पारे पनि भने हैन. यो ओरहरु सुक्छ. त्यो खाए भने यो ओरहरु फुट्दैन.
Ever since the early explorers of the region needed their help to guide them up the treacherous peaks, the Sherpas have found another way to coexist with the mountains by harnessing their natural climbing abilities. High up in the Himalayas, the Sherpas in Nepal have learnt to preserve their traditions in the biting cold of the mountains. Apart from their distinctive customs, the Sherpas have now earned a respect for their outstanding ability to traverse the mountains. The Sherpas' extraordinary climbing abilities have made them synonymous with mountain climbing and trekking. So much so that in this day and age, many Sherpas have found work in the mountaineering industry that has blossomed in Nepal. Sherpas are natural hikers. They are constantly trekking long distances in the jagged terrain, a predilection for trekking that has given them what many perceive as superhuman strength. On May 24, 2001, at the tender age of 16, Tempasheri Sherpa became the youngest person ever to climb Mount Everest.
To reach summit at the young age was my dream. Maybe because I'm Sherpa, because it's in my blood. The thing is that we're born in mountain, we live in mountain, that's why Sherpa people have stronger stamina than other people.
Temba's achievement of reaching the summit of Mount Everest would be outstanding in its own right, but the story behind Temba's climb makes the feat even more remarkable. Just a year before, Temba's initial attempt to climb the behemoth mountain failed. Mistakes, coupled with abysmal weather, had marred his ascent. Temba suffered severe frostbite.
So in my first attempt, May 22, we went to Camp 4. So I was supposed to go to summit that day, but the weather was not good. So weather was not as we expected. So it was cloudy, the windy, so our guide decided to stay in the Camp 4, 8,000 meters. So that time I took off my gloves. So I tie up my shoes, shoes is not like the normal shoes, it's like up to your knee. When I reached 8,826 meters, I took off my gloves and I see my fingers was like ice.
Temba struggled back down to Camp 3, where his father was on hand to help him. Temba eventually made his way to a hospital in Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, where doctors had to amputate his fingers.
Climbing mountain is not a joke. I lost my fingers. People lost their life. So I kept my fingers because it's part of my body. It's part of my life. These fingers remind me the risks in the mountain.
The loss of his fingers never stopped him from trying again. Temba is a Sherpa. An indomitable spirit and a prowess in the mountains flow through his veins. Less than a year later, Temba had reached the summit of Everest.
The weather was perfect. I can see the mountains, all mountains. This was like my everything, like what I dream, It comes true. My dreams become true.
These skilled Sherpas showcase a natural ability to roam through these mountains. An eternity of coexisting with the inhospitable terrain has given them an aptitude for climbing, trekking, and surviving up in the Himalayas.
Sherpa are stronger in mountain because they live their life there. They know how to play in the mountain because they are playing since they are born there. They know how to walk. They know how to deal with the season, summer, winter, rainy season. Commercial people cannot climb Everest, any mountain, without Sherpa. If you go to Everest, you see Sherpa carrying loads, Sherpa carrying oxygen, Sherpa carrying mountain gear, Sherpa carrying fixing rope, whatever, everything is done by Sherpa.
The mountaineering that has been taken up by the Sherpas has been passed down from generations. And it is no different for Temba and his father Chongba, who still makes a living as an expedition cook.
My father is everything for me. He's my guru, he's my teacher. So when I was young, when I saw him, going in the mountain, so I had a dream to become like my father.
यो ट्रेकिङ पेसा भनेको अब धेरै घुमघाम गर्नु नि पाइने हैन आफू पनि अब माथि हाईमा हिमालमै जन्मेकोले होला तन्दुरुस्त भयौं अब जता जाँदा पनि मलाई चाहिँ बिमारी नि हुँदैन थियो हैन टाउको साउको दुख्ने ज्वरो सोरो आउने पनि हुँदैन थियो.
Temba's parents feel nothing but pride for their son and his accomplishments, not just as a son, but also as a Sherpa representing his people.
अरूले धेरै जसो यस्तै पेशा गरेर आएको छ हैन अब मेरो छोरा पनि ट्रेकिङ बुढा पनि ट्रेकिङ म पनि पहिला ट्रेकिङ गरेको हो हैन मलाई खै मलाई खुसी होला मलाई त्यति खुसी जस्तो लाग्दैन अहिले पनि मलाई अब मान्छेले कस्तो लाग्छ र सोच्छ हैन मलाई मान्छेको म खुसी लाग्छ भन्छु हैन अब के गर्ने मान्छेको म खुसी लाग्छु भन्छ तर मेरो मनमा दुःख छ नि
ठीक गएर भनौं न विश्वकै नाम कमाएपछि त आफुलाई नि धेरै धेरै खुसी लाग्यो हैन अनि शेर्पाको छोरा भएपछि यस्तो गर्नु सकिने रहेछ मेहनत गरे फल्ने रहेछ भनेर त्यही सम्झ्यौ धेरै खुसी लाग्यो.
Climbing enthusiasts' fascination with Mount Everest and the other peaks of the Himalayas belies their deadly nature. Over the years, many have perished in the pursuit of reaching Everest's summit.
So now I'm an expedition leader. I organize expedition. I take my clients to the mountain. So I make sure them that they should be safe and come back safely.
Temba's story exemplifies how the Sherpas in this region have evolved to benefit from Nepal's biggest industry, tourism. tourist arrivals in Nepal continue to grow year after year, with the country welcoming close to 600,000 visitors in 2012. Sherpa porters rely on this constant influx of visitors for their bread and butter. The Parajuli brothers are Sherpa porters who can carry weights up to 30 kilograms over long distances.
हामीलाई सानोदेखि बाआमाले सानो भारी बनाएनुहुन्छ बोक्नुहुन्छ त्यसै गर्दा गर्दा सिक्यो ठुलो भयो आफै बनाउन भारी बनाउन जान्ने हाल्यो सानो बाआमाले सिकायो हामीलाई
अब म चाहिँ यस्तै भारी सारी बोकेर हिँड्छु अब 15-20 वर्ष त्यस्तै भयो करिबन अब चाहिँ यसो 20-30 किलोसम्मको भारी बोक्छु 2,400 रुपैयाँ दाम कमाउँछु र यसो ज्यान पाल्ने बाटो गरी हिँड्छु अब 10-20 किलो बाटो भारी बोकेर हिँड्छु हजुर ल
The job is tough, but these mountain dwellers have evolved to deal with the risks of the trade. Sherpa porters have a remarkable ability to burn less energy whilst carrying a huge amount of weight due to their familiarity with the landscape and its climate. It's this ability that has earned them the plaudits of the visitors to the regions.
भारी सारी बनायो गर्यो अब हिँड्छौं अब भिर अप्ठ्यारो बाटो घाटो अथवा बुटाबुटी जहाँ जे भए पनि अब खुट्टा चिप्लन्छन् हरेक हुन्छन्
हामीलाई लाग्दैन कर्तव्य हो जहाँ पुर्याउनु भारी पुर्याउनु पर्छ त्यहाँ पुर्याएपछि मात्रै पैसा पाइन्छ नत्र पाइदैन त्यसकारणले हामीलाई डर पनि लाग्दैन हामी पुर्याउँछौं अहिलेसम्म म 15-20 वर्ष भयो भारी बोके अहिलेसम्म मलाई चोटपटक लागेको छैन अझै पनि भारी बोक्छु भन्ने नै रहरै छ
Without mountain, Sherpa cannot live. In life also, they cannot survive life also. We Sherpa born in the mountain. We like to stay in the mountain. We Sherpa is children of the mountain.
The Sherpas have truly integrated themselves into the Himalayas, creating a coexistence like no other. A coexistence that has helped to preserve their past culture, as well as introduce a new culture of mountaineering that will be remembered for generations to come. The ethnic tribes of the Hani and the Sherpa carry a tradition that fuses practicality with age-old culture. Their relationship with their environment has shown how people of this world can harness the land and yet still respect it. These mountain communities are lasting legacies to how humankind has traversed the most extreme of lands. Living high up in the mountains in their bitter cold and harsh environment, these exceptional people have learnt to deal with severe natural elements to create a remarkable system of coexistence.